Alrighty guys, we're back for Wizard Beatdown, and this is an Outlaws with Thunder Junction Standard Brew, and I'm Redcat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked. First of all, check out our wizards. We got all 4 Delver of Secrets in here. It's going to be easy peasy to flip because we have 27 instants packed into the list. No sorceries this time around. That's kind of neat, right? So it flips into that 3/2 flyer. It happens to be very powerful, especially if we get this down on turn 1. We have Slickshot Show-Off in here too. It is in fact a wizard. Have you guys seen this one around yet? I think so. Let's not go over it, but you know, it's kind of the centerpiece of the build. It's going to be very explosive, especially when paired with cards like Twinferno and stuff to give it double strike as well. That's going to be pretty wild. Other wizards that we have paired in, Balmor Battlemage Captain. 2 mana, 1/3 with flying. It is a legendary creature, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. It's going to be interesting in a build that doesn't necessarily know how to go wide. What we've seen this paired with in the past is actually over here in the honorable mentions. Third Path Iconoclast also could be just interesting in this build, but guess what? It's not a wizard, so it doesn't fit my cheesy little theme here. But hey, honorable mention for a reason, helps us go wide on the board and pairs beautifully with that Balmor, so yeah, something to consider, I suppose. Top end wizard, Frolicking Familiar is a 3 mana 2/2 with flying, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, now it has that adventure side, which for me makes it worthwhile. And a deck like this, where you barely run any creatures, right? We only got 14 creatures packed in. It's nice to have those creatures actually work with all the other creatures by having an instant speed side of things as well. So Blow Off Steam just deals 1 damage to any target, so it's not like a powerful ability, but it's just nice to have both of those on the same card, right? It's the same concept for when we did our Azorius list last week. I had the Squeaky House Mouse packed in for that adventure side. Okay, so what about these instant speed things? Well, we got some tempo with Fading Hope, we have some protection with Shore Up, more protection with a single slip out the back, and then of course we have like Play with Fire and Lightning Strike as our removal of choice, I suppose, but also most of these are just going to be slamming at the opponent's face because that's what the deck is trying to do. Of course, to pair with all of these powerful cards like Slickshot Show-Off, we have Monstrous Rage as a 4-of. We have a couple Blazing Crescendo in here too, helping us just see more off the top as well. Over in the mana base, Crucible of Defiance, of course, made the cut, a Soaring City, and we're opting for the Fastland with the Reef and the Canal, and a Cavern of Souls, where we call Wizard when we see it. We don't want too many Cavern of Souls because there will be plenty of moments where you actually get caught up on having multiple of these on the board, and you really just want to do multiple things with your 1-drops on the same turn. Honorable mentions, Ancestral Anger, of course, I thought about. Felonious Rage, thought about it. Ancestor's Aid, thought about it. Electrostatic Infantry is actually a wizard that could be really, really good in here, especially if like you're trading out some rares. Maybe you don't have all 4 Slickshot Show-Offs, for example, and you don't want to spend the wild cards on it. You could attempt the Electrostatic Infantry. It's definitely much weaker than Slickshot Show-Off, but something to consider. It's a budget-friendly wizard, I suppose. Ren's Resolve almost made the cut, of course. I thought about just the generic card draw too, like Quick Studies, for example. And then Arcane Proxy, another wizard that almost made the list. It could be pretty neat on the top end. Something to consider maybe over the Familiar. Maybe we'll talk more about that in the final thoughts. Restless Spire, a little bit too slow for what the deck is trying to do. Also, guys, 19 land. Hopefully that's going to be enough. I do believe it will be. Okay, guys, I do my dandiest to go ahead and save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. In the meantime, what am I expecting from the build? I'm actually expecting a little bit, man. Only 14 creatures, that is concerning, but we've played plenty of deck lists very similar to this one where 14 creatures was enough, so we shall see. We go first, only the Delver. I say we keep this because turn 1 Delver's powerful. Of course, we hope that it doesn't get burnt away on the first turn here, which they would want to do before we untap, for sure, because these style of decks have protection packed in. Okay. Inspector. Delver does not flip, but I don't mind seeing the Slickshot Show-Off at all. So we'll get the land down. We can plot the Show-Off if we think that the opponent's going to remove it next turn. I don't think they're going to. I'm going to just get the swing. Every bit of damage is going to matter here probably against Boros. Swing in the air. Yeah, if we think the Slickshot Show-Off is going to die next turn, then we want to plot it and try to be as explosive as possible. But I'm not convinced, because if they drop their second mana and if we're up against the generic Boros that we've been seeing, then Case is like their main removal, and the Case needs extra things on the board first. So we'd expect Case to be removal on like their turn 3 or something. Lethal Demolition, and they called Human on the Cavern, so I wonder if they're going to play... Oh, okay, Frontliner, that also works. I was going to say Inspector number 2. They go for the swing. Oh, we don't flip the Delver again. Crap. I don't mind seeing these extra creatures, but I'll tell you what, we could die here in no time against Boros. Let's see. Blazing Crescendo before combat, maybe see a land. There's only 19 land packed in, though. Keep the Delver as an emergency blocker on the ground. I say Blazing Crescendo before combat, because if we see a land, we play the land, and then we go like Monstrous Rage or something. Could be a shore up, actually. Let's get that 6 swinging in the air. And luckily, Blazing Crescendo is till the end of our next turn. So now the Case could come down and remove the Slickshot Show-Off. Could also just be an Imodane's Recruiter turn. There's the Case. They want to remove this Show-Off for sure. Way too explosive. I don't think we block. We take this, we're going down to 10. They solve the Case. Oh, heck yeah. We reveal it. We finally flip the Delver. This Delver, if we wouldn't have seen Slickshot Show-Off on turn 2, first of all, would have been a little less damage already. But if we would have flipped this earlier, there would be a possibility that the opponent would be in danger right now. But right now, we're the ones in danger. We could see more off the Crescendo. Maybe find a land. A shore up goes away at the end of this turn. So we could go with the swing, keep the Fading Hope open as tempo, and then untap to have the blocker. Tough decision, guys. But I do think this is heavily leaning towards Boros right now. So let's do that. Let's get the swing. Let's untap him. Also, our 2 land happen to be the Pain land. Opting for the fast land here is actually very detrimental for it right now. We're going to take another one down to 8, even with the tempo play on the Fading Hope. I guess we have the Play with Fire open too. Okay, we have the blocker, Fading Hope, Play with Fire, ending our turn. Yeah, these have been doing a lot of damage to us, huh? Case came down a little bit too soon. I do wonder how much damage we could have done that turn if we were able to flip. Delver early, or if we were able to keep Slickshot with the flipped Delver is what I was trying to get at. I'm trying to math things out while talking. Okay. So, +1/+1 there. That's probably the one we end up bouncing, I suppose. I suppose we'll do that now, get the Scry. We'll Scry a land to the top, hopefully. And I suppose we do this now. We don't know what's open, but we do know the... there's a land. We do know how Boros operates. They got 8 on the board, and unfortunately we're forced to block with our creature because we took so much damage here from the reefs. So we'll block the Inspector, I suppose, and take 6. And honestly... I guess we could die this turn. They could go like 2 Valdaran Epicures or something. Yeah, because we're at 2. So Canal comes down. That is something we would have liked to see instead of one of these reefs for sure. Okay. Honestly, I think this could have been anyone's game, guys. For example, if we didn't have to block last time and we still had the Delver, we would have had big damage this turn, huh? A nice little back and forth. Go ahead, play the Delver. This is going to be a blocker, and then we're going to keep the Play with Fire available to go ahead and remove something else from their board, and then we're going to be taking 2 no matter what, unfortunately. But we'll definitely let them play this out. Also, they have Resolute Reinforcements, too. Pretty scary. They could be another Reinforcements as well, since they had 4 mana. He does not, though. Yeah, GG. I truly believe this could have gone either way. Maybe I missed a play early on. That could have helped us, too. So we'll block the... Let's block the reinforcements, and then we go Play with Fire on the 3-2. That brings us down to 1, and we're taking another 6 here anyways. Good stuff, man. Boros being Boros, and they didn't pop off significantly here too. So I guess technically they could have seen a better lineup as well. We're getting there, guys. We're getting back up to platinum. It was like last week sometime in the middle of the video. The ranks reset, which was pretty funny. I don't know why I found it so funny. I just think that's silly. Because it's, it's like, it's only once a month that it would happen at a very specific time, and it happened mid-video. We gotta climb our way back up to the bottom of platinum, where I like to sit nice and pretty. Alright, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? There's a canal, there's an island. Hey, we're not going to be taking too much damage from the reefs this time, so that's good. We got our creatures. Slickshot Show-Off. Like this hand. I don't mind this at all. Of course, we could see more explosive power, but I think this is definitely keepable. With 19 total mana, that last game being mostly on 2 mana made a lot of sense. And that's kind of, I think the deck can operate on 2 mana for most of the game anyways, so. But having the 3 mana here is good too. Yep, we're not going to be activating any of this. Orzhov going first should be very concerning. We're just going to go right into plotting the Show-Off and hoping for more explosion. This is a perfect example of playing around spot removal with that plot. Because against Orzhov, like, you gotta just anticipate a whole bunch of removal. This could also be like Orzhov tokens too. They could be getting ready to drop like a 2/2 knight. Or, I'm trying to think of what else Orzhov tokens runs, because they're like a mid-range style build, running Wedding Announcement and everything as well. There's the Virtue, there's their 2/2 knight, okay. Yeah, they keep that open with, like, Go for the Throats and stuff, and it's actually a very terrifying list. But since we got that plot, now we get to keep this protection open when we actually bring it out, too. So we can successfully bring the Show-Off, keep protection open, get a pretty good swing here. We won't be able to give it, like, Double Strike or anything fancy. That's what the other Show-Off is for, too. So Show-Off can come down. They get ready to remove it. They might wait till the last moment, unfortunately. Alright, go for the swing. Swing. I mean, if they don't remove it, I'm just going to plot the other Show-Off. I'm not going to get greedy with this one. Okay, they take the 1. I mean, that's fine. Totally fine. Let's go ahead and plot you. We want you, and I don't want to take any damage because of how devastating that was in the last one. Now I'm just going to watch out for these reefs the rest of the video. Yeah, so plotting the second Show-Off, instead of just like popping off with the first one, now we have a chance of getting the second Show-Off down and getting both of their abilities rolling, which could just be huge damage. They let us keep this show off, and they had 3 mana that turn. It was just like a free turn for us, essentially. Go for the swing. With that vigilance, they don't mind. Also, it can't block in the air anyways. No 4th mana for the opponent could be huge for us. Against Orzhov, dude, and most likely Orzhov mid-range, that's pretty good. All right, Slickshot Show-Off. Come on down, buddy. Now we go for a maximum explosion. Crescendo is pretty good. I wonder what we see on top. Do we do it before combat? Probably. Could play a land. Yeah, we want to... This time we want to keep the reef just in case. Gives us more options in hand. See what we see on top. Yeah, Crescendo is excellent. All right, Island. Very nice, guys. We got 9 on the board. It's definitely going to have to be protection this turn, though, right? Right? Because it could be another 7 if we go for the lightning strike. Maybe we just hold both protection spells? Nah, not both protection spells. Let's go for it. Let's go for the blow off steam and then keep like the shore up available. 1, 2. That's 13. 13. We could go for lethal damage, but I shouldn't. I definitely shouldn't. Yeah, because like on the stack of the target, and now we have lethal. Okay. It was very tempting, but we got there by just having patience and waiting for them to drop the removal. Woo, I almost dropped that early, guys. That could have been really bad. Sometimes the greed pays off. Like, there was a possibility where they weren't going to drop the removal, and they were just going to take the damage. We were going to have to survive another turn, which I think we were going to. Even if they found a mana, try to board wipe, slip out the back, gets around the board wipe too. So very nice. That is exactly what the deck is trying to do. The double show-offs really showing off, and Blazing Crescendo doing the thing too. Honestly, couldn't ask for a better match. I guess one thing that could have been better was the opponent seeing mana on time, as they missed their 4th mana. But, you know, we had the protection and everything available. Played out beautifully. Overall, it played out pretty well against that Boros game too, though, so I can't complain too much, can I? Okay. Our blue source is going to be dealing pain to us, but we go first. A lot of creatures. Protection. I like it. Start with that Delver. See if we can actually flip this early. Because that Boros game where we started with Delver, it took us 3 turns to flip, right? We saw 2 creatures on top. 27 instants. There's 25 instants remaining in the build. Oh, up against mono red probably. Woohoo! Flipping Delver early is so good, dude. All right, Crucible comes down, and now we have a decision to make here. Burn is obviously a thing in mono red. So just keeping Slip out the back or other protection for our 1 creature is probably okay. Just plotting the show-off could be really good too for the turn. We plot the show-off to get around the burn for next turn and have more explosion. If their burn hits the Delver, then it's burn that's not hitting our face, and they also know we have the show-off. They could just keep the burn available for that too. Let's probably play with fire though, as especially the way they're looking at it. Double Swift Spear getting through, bringing us down to 14. Familiar. And now we go show off, and we want to keep the shore up or the slip out the back, but we're still going to go for maximum amount of damage for the turn 2, which of course is going to be the Monstrous Rage as well. And then we keep protection. Down to 11, anyone's game for sure. We'll see what the opponent can end up pulling off here for the turn. Go for the swing. Lightning strike. Monstrous Rage. Uh-oh, uh-oh. This could be really bad. So they're not going for the burn, but we kept this protection open. That's 7. We're going down to 7. We do not have lethal on this board by any means. Scamp comes down. Should we have just went with the Shore Up to block the Swift Spear? That's a 2-3. Shore Up untaps. Keeping that one mountain. They could have played the 3rd, right? They could have played the 3rd. Okay, so we don't do anything this turn because we could see land off the top. Play with fire. How do we want to do this, guys? 1, 2, bring it up to 6. 1 second, opponent. I am pondering, my friend. Okay, so. If we play 2 things for the turn, we could bring this up to 6 as it's swinging in. That would bring the opponent down to 5. If we go play with fire and the Frolicking Familiar, bring him down to 2. So seeing mana off the top would have been the most ideal thing there. So that way we could go Frolicking Familiar, slip out the back. No. Slip out the back would take him out of the equation. But play with fire was still a good draw. Okay, so we remove Swift Spear out of the equation. We go for maximum amount in the swing here. Shore Up untaps. We're going down to 6, but we have a blocker. And the opponent's down to 4. But now we don't have protection for the Show-Off, which could easily eat a lightning strike. All right. Tricky business. I think we could easily die this turn. We go for the swing. I believe we're forced to block because of Monstrous Rage. And we're forced to block the Scamp because, well, actually that's just, that's death no matter what if it's Monstrous Rage. But it might not be the Rage. It's a lightning strike. There it is. All right, GG opponent. So a loss against Boros and a loss against Mono Red shouldn't be too surprising, but I truly do believe that the deck could have got there against both of those lists, right? What do you guys think? Definitely let me know in the comments. Hey, while you're down there, make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link as well as that Patreon link. Doing my dandiest to try to bring those up in the middle of the video instead of the very end of the video. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to bring it up in the middle somewhere. Yeah, one of the main reasons to check out the Patreon is, of course, the patron suggestions. In order of priority for suggested deck lists, it goes patron suggestions first, then Discord suggestions, then comment suggestions. And I always do my dandiest to get around to all of them. But inevitably, some do fall between the cracks, unfortunately, so. Well, while I was sitting there rambling, we were waiting for the opponent for quite some time. There we go, we got in. After the 20-second mark, I start to get concerned that I have to, like, restart the game or something. But we haven't had too many crashes recently, too, so. Opponent goes first. We keep this. It's not like the greatest hand. But it's definitely not the worst. Oh dear. Duress? Opponent, you get out of my hand, sir. 1 lightning strike down. Luckily, they couldn't, like, take our Slickshot Show-Off or something. That would be devastating. Alright, they know we have Familiar available. Against Golgari, this is another list where plotting the Show-Off is probably much more beneficial than just playing him right into a Go for the Throat. But it really depends what we end up seeing, too. Opponent, are you there, buddy? Let's go ahead and pause until the opponent shows up. Okay, the opponent showed up for a second to drop the Who Endures, but then ran down the timer, and then it passed back to me. So, okay. Let's go ahead and go for the Reef and stay on task. No, we can call Wizard on this now. Wizard. stay on task here. We'll plot it instead of running right into the go for the throat. And I can't tell if like the opponent was lagging out last turn, because it did take a while to connect to this game. It's very possible. I see. Oh, okay. The opponent played the land. Okay, they're here. Sunslayer right into a lightning strike though. So Sunslayer number 2 is likely, I would say. Get to keep the shore up open. Get the Show-Off down. And yep, we go like this. Get a good swing. Keep shore up. Because that's going to be very important against Golgari. Instead of playing Delver, I'd say that's much more important. And getting the Sunslayer off the board so effectively and right on time, beautiful. I wonder if the opponent is lagging a little bit. That's kind of what it feels like. You never know sometimes. So on our turn, if we're successful at protecting the Show-Off, because it could easily be like a duress number 2 or something. But if we are successful in protecting Show-Off for the turn, we could always double down on the Familiar's abilities, poke 2 to the opponent's face, but since we're playing 2 things, of course, that's an extra 4 damage on the Slickshot too. It's not enough to make them sweat just yet, but it might make for the next turn sweating opponent, right? Something like that. Oh man, words are tough. Unfortunately, it looks like it's passing right through the opponent's turn again. I'm not going to take the risk of dropping like a blow-off steam just for them to, on the stack, pop the Slickshot Show-Off. And I'm still going to, like, even though the opponent wasn't there, like, I'm still going to play it like the opponent is there, you know what I mean? So, all right. Swing on in. Monstrous Rage. Oh, they're highlighting their hand. If we tap the Reef, then we won't have shore up, and it's like I said, we still got to play around removal. It would have been a good amount of extra damage, but we can tap the Cavern, get the Delver down. And this is a perfect example of a hand as to why we only have 1 Cavern of Souls, even though everything's a wizard in here. The perfect example. Yeah, if you ever get caught up on a couple caverns on the board, then that would be very detrimental to this build. When it plays the Restless Cottage, if they go for removal, this shore up's going to be devastating. Oh, crap, dude. Path of Peril. Shore up does not get around a board wipe. The opponent's back in this, unfortunately. We could poke the opponent's face. We might as well, because I think we're going to play Familiar next turn. Either way, the other Familiar's still here too. Alright, shore up is available. If it's another path, getting around the shore up is really, really good for the opponent if they can pull that off. Looks like they have officially arrived now. Hostile Investigator. I don't know which one we want to discard. The shore up, probably, right? That's tough. That's a really, really tough decision. I'm going to hold it all back since we have 4 mana. We don't know what we're seeing on the top. Blazing Crescendo is not half bad at all, guys. Before combat, we want to do this probably. See what we see on top. Uh-oh, I don't like what I just tapped. Oh my goodness, guys. Double strike to the Familiar. There it is. So the opponent had a couple slow turns, unfortunately, where it just passed back. I don't know if that was them lagging out. Maybe they missed a mana, just let the timer run out. I'm not 100% certain what happened. That Blazing Crescendo really, really just came in clutch at the end there. Seeing that Twinferno, I guess technically there was a lot that we could have seen off the top that could have gotten us there. Even like another Monstrous Rage. Another lightning strike, since the Familiar was buffing with whatever we were playing. That would have been another 4 damage there too. Cool stuff, man. Not bad, not bad. 50% win rate so far for the list. We're about 30 minutes in. we can easily keep the ball rolling, and I think that the deck is more than capable of getting us some more victories today, and ending on a high note as well. So yeah, the only losses against Boros, Mono Red, both of them felt pretty good. Neither of those felt like the deck was like the problem. You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, it makes sense because we just have so much power packed in. So many tried and true cards too. Like this hand, for example, it's literally just mono red shell. And then we also have some tempo in this hand too, which is actually just really good, isn't it? So. Okay, play with fire open. So if we're up against like more Boros or mono red, then going first would be huge for us. And then like popping an early creature like a Monastery Swift Spear would just be so good. Hopeful Initiate. That's definitely worth the target, right? I think so. I think so. Plot or not to plot? I say not to plot. Every now and then we gotta risk it, and I'm feeling like this is the type of deck that won't have turn 2 removal. With Hopeful Initiate, what we usually see is like, well, pops up in mono white humans. This could be Thalia style list. Thalia would be devastating. Uh-oh, Boros, they pass it back. That's good. No protection in hand anyways, but... But burn spell, we can get the Show-Off potentially above a small burn spell like Play with Fire. Bouncing it back wouldn't be terrible because we get the Scry as well. Yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it, guys. It is going to be the burn. Oh, Fateful Absence. So we lose the Monstrous Rage and the Show-Off for the price of one. We investigate, we could draw one, or we just bounce the Slickshot Show-Off back, get the Scry, save the investigate for another turn, and keep the Play with Fire available. Let's bounce it. So this would be crazy if we had one of our protection spells. I don't think we need more mana right now. I'm going to send that for sure. So Monstrous Rage fizzles out, and all that happens to be really, really good for the opponent. It really came down to what we valued, and right now I value the creature. We should pop that, right? Never mind. Never mind. We'll wait. Okay. I was going to say, we could see mana off the top, and then we'd have like the double Play with Fire too. Fateful Absence. So this is a human. So Boros humans, a little bit of a different version of Boros would be, I mean, that sounds cool to me. Get that Show-Off back down and then pop the Inti with the Play with Fire and get a little bit extra through in the air with the Show-Off. Well, if Show-Off survives, now it could be a Play with Fire from the opponent. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I'm scared. If it is a Play with Fire, I guess it is what it is, right? It's going to be Monstrous Rage. Rage, save the Inti. Nice. That's a good play for the opponent for sure. Especially since Inti keeps the monster roll too. Like they're going to maybe plug a counter onto it as well. Since they discarded, they get to see off the top. It's going to be Battlefield Forge. I think they already played their mana for the turn, unfortunately. A little bit punished from the Inti. They go for the Get Lost. Dude. That's not good, man. That's not good at all. Yeah, opponent's Boros list looks really good right now. Let's just get the Frolicking Familiar down. Luckily, Familiar showed off a bit in the last game. So maybe he'll stick around long enough to be as explosive. Virtue of Loyalty as well. Holy cow. Ride you off the top for the opponent. Dude. 10 10 damage coming through. I guess we take it. There's a, like, I guess technically we could win next turn if we can give this familiar double strike, which would kind of just be silly at that point. So Blazing Crescendo. If we see double strike off the top, then it was just handed to us, right? Like quite literally just handed to us. Let's see it. Oh, we don't have enough mana for it anyways. Oh, okay, that's fine. Well, I mean, we can get this down, call Wizard. But now we can't do these two things. Cavern, not really holding us up, but kind of, sort of, I guess. Pretty good damage overall, huh? So we use the map token. Delver, we can send. We don't, I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's the opponent's regardless. This is huge damage. Holy cow. Shore up. Hi. That would have been so good. So good against a deck that was running Fateful Absence and Get Lost. The opponent's Boros list? Dude. Cool stuff, opponent. I'm surprised we don't see more Boros like this. Angel Fire Ignition. Rock the GGs. Very nice. I wonder what the Virtue. The Virtue gives counters on 5 if you drop it as a 5-mana enchantment. I guess that makes sense. Inti gives counters. Monstrous Rage modifies. This is a Boros modified list, and I'm just now realizing it. Initiate gets counters from the training. Nice. Looks really solid, actually. And Thundering Raiju feels a little underplayed sometimes. I know it's 4 mana and everything, but like Raiju just does so much. I do apologize. Heck yeah, I'll equip that one. I wonder which one it replaces, though. Mid-video pack, let's do it, and then we're going to end on a high note. That's for sure, man. I'm feeling good. Get this back up to a 50% win rate. Riku of Many Paths. Okay, that's one to check out at some point. There was like a couple weeks of recording where I just played like, I don't even know, man. Like 4 teamer decks. That's probably, that's too much. But a lot of teamer decks in like 2 weeks worth of time. So I've kind of taken a break from teamer. But no, we'll have to revisit that at some point. Or visit that, I should say. I haven't played with that card yet. Right. Yeah. We keep this. Starting with Delver. Yeah, these wizards definitely deserve one more victory, huh? So we can decline that. Unfortunately, not flipping the Delver, but seeing more mana isn't terrible. As we saw in all the games today, getting to 3 is actually just pretty good overall. I'm going to play the Reef and not worry about the excess damage. We're going to just keep Slip Out the Back available, and I don't think we go Monstrous Rage yet. Actually, yes we do. Let's do this. Let's do this, man. No, never mind. I changed my mind. I changed my mind for now. We'll just keep Play with Fire and Slip Out the Back available. Yeah, Monstrous Rage. You know, I mean, we have 4 cards in here that give double strike and stuff, and since we have 3 mana, there's always a chance of seeing one off the top. Especially since we're going to get that Scry for the turn, too. Realistically, if they have removal, they really wouldn't want to pass it back because we could always see more off the top. Bronco, we could just tempo that. And just hit face. But the tempo might be better for when they have something bigger. So let's get the Play with Fire. And save the Fading Hope for something a little bit bigger here. Woohoo! Twinferno off the top. Oh my goodness. Saving the Monstrous Rage was huge for us. Unfortunately, it's still not like that much damage. That's a lot of damage. I mean, what am I complaining for, huh? We end up tapping out. We won't have Slip Out the Back available. Maybe it is just like we wait for the turn. Maybe we just wait. Nah, I'll go for it. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. Double strike. Get 12 damage through. If they kill the Delver, it is what it is, and we just know that it was my fault then. That's a pretty fun swing, and I guess like if we wait for the turn, the opponent could ruin it anyways somehow by some miracle getting around something. So yeah, I just like getting the fun swing in. Liliana, actually, Slip Out the Back would have protected it from the Liliana. That's something to consider, man. Now we have to figure out a way to get that last 7 through. With only 14 creatures in the list, we saw one of them already, so there's 13 creatures remaining, 50 cards. This is going to be tough, man, especially if we're discarding every turn too. Shore up, because Slip Out the Back does get the creatures around the Liliana. It was risky. It was really, really risky. But at any point, the opponent's list could have messed up what we were doing anyways. Fading Hope. Fading Hope Scry is significant here, even though like they get the whole draw and everything. We're just looking for the creatures now. With the Liliana lockdown, however, we got to keep the island for the discard. With the Liliana lockdown, we have to get the creature on the board and have it survive that additional turn. That's what the Slip Out the Back is for. Oh no. Oh dear. What have I done? What have I done? I wanted to end on a high note, and this is what I do? Also, Dread Knight draws them. They're going down to 5 here. Against this list, dude, I feel like that's super sketchy, but they're probably feeling pretty good right about now. Wow, the option to take out the Liliana or just hit their face and maybe see a Play with Fire off the top. Restless Cottage can power up. They could get some life gain on the food. They might not discard next turn on the Liliana. I'm going to save them both, but we're most likely dropping that Lightning Strike on the opponent's face because there's a chance that we see Play with Fire off the top and then I don't get punished for my greedy swing earlier. They do opt for the discard here. So Slip Out the Back is a goner. Yeah, getting the opponent this low and having a good amount of burn packed in is actually going to be huge for us. Okay, they do drop the duress. We're going to hit the opponent's face. Down to 2. Let's see that top deck, dude. And you know what this deck has been pretty good at so far? Top decking. Come on, I'm on the edge of my seat. Play with fire! Oh my goodness, dude. GG opponent. I'm so sorry, bro. Oh, jeez, man. That's so good. That's... that just made my whole day. Holy cow. That's so funny, man. Okay. We gotta go over this deck. Oh, man. Okay, Wizard Beatdown. Alright, we got like... Oh, that's our 3rd Riku, by the way. Okay. Here's the deck list again, guys. Okay. So, few things. I kind of want to drop the Balmor down to 1 and go up another Slip Out the Back. Protection's so important for a list like this. It's not even funny, dude. Most of the time, like, if I'm ever sitting there and I'm like, oh man, do I do the greedy thing or do I just keep my protection open? Usually the answer is just keep the protection open and wait till the very last minute because there's just so much spot removal in general. And then a reason for Slip Out the Back, of course, is there's a lot of things that get around basic protection. A lot of board wipes. That Path of Peril was brutal, for example. But just like board wipes in general, you drop a shore up, hexproof does nothing against a board wipe, and especially Sunfall, which we still see a lot of Sunfall. We didn't see any today, but like it's still floating about in significant quantities. So Slip Out the Back gets around a lot of that. So dropping a Balmor, less creatures, 13 creatures, that's not a lot, man. That's not a lot of creatures. Oh, Blazing Crescendo was pretty wild too today. You know what I'm feeling? We're gonna do some rearranging. The deck did all right overall, but I think we can successfully rearrange some of the stuff based on how it all performed today. Twinferno down to 3, it's explosive, like really, really explosive with all of our creatures pretty much. But sometimes you just need to see more off the top. Extra Crescendo makes a lot of sense to me. Dropping that Balmor, less creatures is sketchy, but how often is Balmor like the card that we want to see? Not too often. It's a nice little bird wizard friend though, so dropping it down to 1. Also, I made the thumbnail with Balmor. Oh crap, I don't want to forget about that, right? I don't want to drop. That'd be really funny. Of course, I could always like remake the thumbnail, but still. Sometimes I make the YouTube thumbnails like long before I record the video just because like I have the deck ready. So, well, anyways, the Battlemage, it'll still do a thing every now and then. I think that it still pairs beautifully with everything in here. Of course, this is not the type of Izzet that goes wide, and it does work much better in the type of Izzet that goes wide. But yeah, I mean, we still want a decent amount of creatures overall, and so I still think the 1 of is totally fine here. Slip Out the Back up to 2. That was the plan. We got 3 Twinfernos, 3 Crescendos. The Slickshot Show-Off and the Delver are like the main creatures. You want to see 1 of these at least in your opening hand with like 1 protection spell as well. That would be an ideal opener. Then anything else, any other amount of explosion happens to be really good. Now, in that last game, we saw a perfect example of when you're not seeing your creatures after an explosive play and the opponent removes everything, then the best things you can see are your burn spells to go ahead and get the last little bit through. So having all 4 Play with Fires, all 4 Lightning Strikes, all of that is huge for us. Yeah, the 1 Cavern, we really saw today how we don't want more than 1 of these on the board for sure. So having only 1 in the deck, like if you have 2 in the deck, it doesn't mean you're going to see 2 in every single game. But I'll tell you what, you'll notice the games that you do see the 2. So having the 1's fine, and having this silly little wizard theme in here, totally fine too. We could totally revisit, if you guys want at some point, let me know in the comments for sure, revisit Izzet Explosion like this, right? Like Spellslinger, I suppose. Izzet Spellslinger. And just like knock the whole wizard theme off, and then just try to be as optimized as possible. And I think we could do a thing. But what was nice about going for the wizard theme was actually we don't get to see like too much Delver in these Spellslinger style of builds. What usually takes the place, of course, is Swift Spear and other things like that. And, you know, just having a bit more fun, having like the wizards and everything. I mean, that's, that's what I like to. What is the Crucible of Defiance doing over here, bro? What are you doing? Get back into the mana base. What on earth? Oh, Frolicking Familiar on the top end. Yeah, I actually really liked this. There's going to be moments where you don't see enough mana, where you sit on 2 until like turn 6. But when you do see the 3, then it's totally fine. When you don't see the 3, then just having that instant speed thing. I actually really like Frolicking Familiar. Definitely not dropping any of those. Unless like you really like the Balmor, having 2 of those and maybe dropping down to 3 of the Familiars. I don't like that at all though. I think that Familiar, I think this is going to do a lot overall and just increase the explosive everything. It's like I said earlier, I'm having trouble with words today, man. Words are hard. But if we look at the Show-Off, for example, if you have Show-Off or 2, it's not going to be unheard of to have 2 of these on the board, especially if 1 was plotted and you play the other one from hand on the same turn. Then having just like these extra things that just target the opponent's face and that extra 1 damage, it's going to be a lot of games too, guys. Like this happens all the time, where you get the opponent down to 1 and you're just like, come on, man, top deck. And then like, just having even more burn. When I was putting the burn over here, I should have put Familiar as well because of the adventure instant. So the 1 damage, if you have Show-Off on the board, I got a little distracted there. If you have Show-Off or 2, that 1 damage turns to 3, hopefully. Hopefully the Show-Off is actually getting 3 in the air. It gets +2/+0 when you play a non-creature thing. So you can poke the opponent's face with it. Show-Off gets an extra 2. You have 2 Show-Off on the board, that 1 damage becomes 5. And then, of course, like just holding stuff open. Like you didn't see your Play with Fire that game. You saw Familiar instead. You saw Familiar and Monstrous Rage. Show-Off goes in the air. You put a Monstrous Rage on 1. You poke the opponent's face for 1 as well. Or take a blocker. Maybe they have like a chump blocker in the air or something. Poke it for 1. All right. When I think of like chump blocker in the air, I think of the mono blue artifacts when they have their Spyglass Siren. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I really like it. The Reefs got super punished in that first game for having the Reefs, but more often than not, you just need this to come down untapped early as possible and having multiple untapped sources that mana fix you. Of course, the Canal is going to be the best dual land in the deck, but the Reef was totally worth it as well. I can see maybe, if you don't think the list is greedy, dropping 2, going up a mountain and an island. I don't know if that'll work. I do think that the mana is still a little greedy, just based on how many 1 mana things you want to be doing on every turn. There's going to be turn 3s where you want to use every single color in your pool of lands. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Hey, enough rambling, huh? I already brought up the Patreon and the Discord in the middle of the video. Hey, good job, Red. And if you made it this far into the video, for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.